Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first virtual health cafe, A Slice of Health Basics. I'm Candace from Red Deer Public Library, and we're so thrilled to be able to partner with the Primary Care Network on this new series of health-related programs. Today, we're welcoming Lindsay and Jonah from the Primary Care Network, and I will just go ahead and hand things over to them right now to get started. So welcome, Lindsay and Jonah.
Thank you. And I just want to briefly introduce myself. My name is Jonah. I'm a kinesiologist and registered nurse with the Red Deer Primary Care Network. I've been with the Primary Care Network for about 12 years, and my main role with the PCN is one-on-one family nurse, as well as group facilitator for different workshops that we offer at the PCN. And this includes the Health Basics program that we'll be talking about today. And I have here my co-host, I guess, is Lindsay, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Okay, hi everybody. So I'm Lindsay, and my background is in kinesiology as well as recreation therapy. So similar to Jonah, I do a lot of group facilitation here at the PCN, and then also in my recreation therapy role, I see people one-on-one to help identify leisure interests and get them motivated and participating in those things either in home or in the community. So we're very happy and excited to be here and hope that you are following along with us. So I'm going to pass it back to Jonah, and he's going to start us off for this afternoon here.
So just to kind of get us started, I just want to quickly talk about what the whole program is all about. So this Health Basics program is a program that will help support you in taking weekly challenges to create long-term healthy habits. The goal of the program is all about sustainability. It's trying to keep as healthy as you can for as long as you can. It's for anyone who wants to improve their health. And this includes people that want to lose weight, become more active, or sometimes people will come to us trying to manage some chronic conditions such as diabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure, as well as high cholesterol. This is a program that lasts for about 8 weeks. So we meet once a week for 2 hours. And within that 2 hours, they divide into 3 different areas. So we're going to be talking about 3 sections: the mindset, the exercise, and nutrition. And for each of those areas, we'll give the participants challenges related to those areas every single week. And people generally tend to work at their own pace, and sometimes they may focus on one area more than another. But the key here is to kind of make the small steps that will lead to bigger changes down the road. Like I said, each week we will also have what we call check-in and check-out for every single workshop. The check-in provides you an opportunity to kind of tell us what was going well over the last week and whether or not you reach your goals and those challenges that we set up. And if you didn't, there's a good opportunity for us to kind of brainstorm and help you and support you on how you can move yourself forward. And then we end the workshop with a checkout, which is an opportunity for you to create a plan for that upcoming week in order to set yourself up for success. So right now, Health Basics offer via Zoom. So you will need a laptop or a computer or or an iPad device that would connect to the internet. And what happens is you will get a link to the workshop, and that's how we connect with people. But we've also done it with just telephone as well. The only disadvantage with the telephone is that we cannot see you. So when we start doing something like the exercise piece, we cannot do any corrections because we're not able to see you. But for the most part, we're still able to make it work. So when it comes to Health Basics, it's available for anybody age 18 and over here in Alberta. And there's some circumstances where we've accepted people between 16 and 17. But for those people, they did need to have either their parents or somebody over the age of 18 to accompany them. So for today, it's going to be a little bit different just because this is an interactive program. We usually have a lot of audience interaction. But unfortunately, with a Facebook Live and the way this whole platform is based, we cannot have any of those interactions. So we'll do our best to present it as much and as realistic as we can. And this will give you basically a taste, so to speak, of what Health Basics is all about. And at the end, we'll talk about when the next workshop is offered, how to register, and all the information that you need if you're interested in pursuing and doing the full 8 weeks. So we'll start with mindset. Briefly talk about a little bit about exercise, just because it's hard. We cannot do actual exercise today due to the fact that we can't see anybody and we don't have the platform for it. And also we're going to talk about some aspect of nutrition. So we'll start with Lindsay. Lindsay will start the mindset discussion, and then we'll go from there. So if you have any question whatsoever, just post it in the chat and we'll do our best to answer those questions. Okay, so I'm going to pass it on to Lindsay.
Okay, thank you, Jonah. So as he had just mentioned, what we want to do today is basically give you a taste of this program so that you know what it would be like to participate in it. And so we thought the best way to do that would be to kind of take you through a few of the snippets that we usually present in the very first week of the class. And like I said, hopefully by the end of this, you get a good idea of what this class is like. And maybe it might encourage you to sign up later on down the road and take the full 8 weeks of the program. And as Jonah mentioned, myself and him would be the facilitators for that class as well. So the very first thing that we always like to start off with in the program is just a quote to kind of get people thinking. And so this quote is by Zig Ziglar, and it says, "There's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs." And so as I said that, I just want you to kind of think about what that might mean to you. And often in the group, we like to ask people, you know, what does that mean to you? What do you think that we're trying to get at here? And some of the things that people will come up with is that, you know, you kind of get out of this program what you put into it. And that's very similar to a lot of things in life, right? And we can definitely acknowledge that people have a lot of competing priorities right now. Some stressful situations that they might be going through, some other things that are a bit of a priority or maybe equally as important. But we know that when people prioritize themselves and take some time out of their day or out of their week to look after themselves, their mental health, their physical health, they're a lot better at being able to manage all those other stressful things that we sure know that many of us are experiencing right now. So, you know, just kind of thinking about that and going forward into, okay, giving this a fair try and putting some effort into investing in your own health is worth it in the long run and worth it in the short run as well. The next thing that I like about that quote, you know, there's no elevator to success, you have to take the stairs, is that whole analogy about the stairs and that you only have to take it one step at a time, right? And I really like to highlight that for people, because when we get this kind of inkling in our minds that we're ready to take that next step and maybe introduce some healthier strategies into our life, often what we think about are the big life-changing things like, I'm going to exercise every single day of the week, and I'm going to eat vegetables at every single meal, and I'm going to cut out all junk food. And those are very, very difficult things to do, especially all at once. So that's what I like to really hone in on, is that idea that we only have to take this one step at a time, right? And there might be some times in life where we stumble down a couple of those steps, right? And that's okay. It's all part of the journey. And we just get back up and we take those steps one step at a time, you know, in a way that feels realistic for ourselves, right? Because what we want for the people that take this class is for it to be sustainable, for them to be able to use these skills lifelong and not just gather all these skills in 8 weeks and then go back to the way that they were living before. So kind of taking it one step at a time can really help a person to develop some solid habits and establish them well into their life, so that it's easier when the program is done for them to continue on using those strategies to encourage that healthy living that they're looking for. And the other thing that usually comes out of that quote, there's no elevator to success, you have to take the stairs, is that it's an easier journey when you have people supporting you. So that is a very big reason why this program is in a group format. And although we've had to adjust to Zoom, there still is that group support in being able to meet each week, even though it's virtually, and having the support of us, the facilitators, as well as everybody else in the class. We know that sometimes people may have support at home, or they maybe not, right? And so that's where this program, for the very least 8 weeks, you get the support of everybody else to encourage you and hold you accountable to, say what you do, what you had planned, and, verbalize it and say, okay, this is my goal for the week. We know that when we say that to people, then we're a lot more likely to commit to it, whether instead if we just kind of thought about it to ourselves and said, oh yeah, I think I should maybe do this week, we might not be as likely to commit to that goal. So having the support of others can be extremely helpful in making those healthy lifestyle changes. So those are just some of the things that we like to start off by talking about. And then what I'd like to do now is just bring us into a mindset challenge. So this is exactly what Jonah had already described. Each week, if you join us in the program, you will have 3 challenges: a mindset challenge, an exercise challenge, and a nutrition challenge for that week. And then that's what we want you to focus on for the next 7 days while you go about your everyday life. So the week 1 mindset challenge is to be mindful of your habits. And that is truly the very first step, is to be mindful of your habits. And we like to start off by sharing this quote by Dr. Walter Willett. And he says, "A certain percent of how long you live and how well you feel is determined by your daily lifestyle decisions." So I want you to just think to yourself, what could that percent be? What do you think it is? Some people would say right off the bat that it's 100%. How long I live and how well I feel is determined by my daily lifestyle decisions 100%. There's no other factors there. Some people will say 50%. So just kind of get a number in your head. And then what I want to do is tell you the answer, and that is 75%. So 75% of how long you live and how well you feel is determined by your daily lifestyle decisions. So these are the choices that you make every day, right? So that really changes the focus into what we're able to control. There's a large part of how long we live and how well we feel that is in our control. There's some of it, 25%, that is out of our control. And part of that, could be genetics. It could be health conditions that you may already be diagnosed with at that time, but you have control over how you manage that health condition. And that's the area that we want to focus on, because we do have, as we see here, quite a bit of impact when it comes to our health overall. So when it talks about those daily lifestyle decisions, those are things like, your choice to wake up at a decent time or go to bed at a decent time, moving your body, how much exercise you have planned in your day, what you eat, how often you eat, and how much your portions are. Those are all decisions that every single one of us makes every single day. And so what happens is that over time, those everyday lifestyle decisions become automatic, right? And so all of us have these habits that we've developed over time that we don't really think about. They just kind of happen, right? They're automatic, as I said before. So some things, some of these habits that we all have in our life are healthy and they're working really well for us. But then we also have probably each and every one of us some habits that might be holding us back, right? And so often one of the examples that comes up quite a bit would be, associating our TV watching, right? Often when we sit down at the end of the day and we turn on the television, the first thing that we think about is, I think I'd like a snack. So we often will go to the pantry and grab a snack, sit down, maybe it's a bag of chips, you open it up and you taste the first one, maybe the second one, and then we just kind of go into autopilot. I know many people have described that, and I'm certainly fall in that category once or twice as well. So that's what I'm talking about, that automatic behavior. And of course, like I said, there's many that we do already that are healthy and that are working for us as well. So I just want you to think about some of those kind of behaviors that you have in your own life that may be automatic, that you haven't really considered in a long time. And so because we're making decisions every day that affect our health, and we are in control of those decisions. So we have to take control by being mindful, just as the challenge had suggested to us. So mindfulness, that's a word that's kind of been thrown around a lot in the last few years. It seems like it's getting to be more of a popular word. And so mindfulness really is about being present in the moment, paying attention to what's going on around you, and being aware of your thoughts and behaviors. So even right now, as you're sitting listening to this, think about what we're discussing and how this relates in your own life. I know that it's very easy to get caught up in thinking about maybe something that happened earlier on in the day, or what you have to do after you're listening to this presentation. We're not often very good at being mindful, being in the present moment. One of our past participants had said, keep your head where your feet are. And I really like that. I think that's one that we can all adopt and just kind of check in with ourselves. Is my head where my feet are right now? Because often it's not. Often it's thinking about something else. And so that's really what we want to encourage people to do, is just be more mindful about the decisions and choices that they're making every day, to see if there's some changes that they can make in, one or two areas. One of the best ways to be mindful is to keep a food diary, especially like when we're talking about our health. A food diary is a great way to learn about your habits when it comes to your food, and then see if there's any changes that you can make from there. So Yoni Freedhoff, Dr. Yoni Freedhoff, he's the medical director at the Bariatric Medical Institute in Toronto, and we quote him here. It says, there's no single behavior that has more value to successful weight management than keeping a careful food diary. It says, folks who keep food diaries lose twice as much weight as those who don't, and folks who keep an honest and careful food diary lose 3 times as much weight than those who keep no diary. So that's, that quote is specific to weight loss if that is your goal. But regardless of, if that is your goal, food journaling can be a really great way to kind of learn about your habits when it comes to your nutrition. There's an element of accountability there as well. Some people will say that if they have to write it down in their journal, then they might choose not to eat it if it's a specific treat. But ultimately, it's for awareness and mindfulness. So maybe some of you that are listening to this have found that you've had success with food journaling in the past, or maybe you've used it for a specific amount of time and then kind of fallen off with it. And that's okay too. Sometimes it can be helpful just to use it for a short period of time, gather the information you want from it, and then go for, another short period of time to see if you can continue with those habits and then kind of cycle through. And some people will choose to continue to use it ongoing, and it's kind of up to you what works for you. And I think Jonah is going to talk a little bit more about that later as well. So as I mentioned, weight loss is one of the reasons that people would take this class, is that's one of their goals. And definitely, as that quote suggested, the food journaling is one way that the studies show that can impact your weight loss and definitely help you to become more mindful. We know that there's a lot of factors taken into consideration which determines our body weight, but nutrition can be a good way to start, right? And so exercise, of course, is another area that we talk about, and we wouldn't be doing our professions any justice if we didn't get to talk about exercise. It's a really great way to help you keep not only physically strong, but mentally strong, and I think now more than ever, we all need that as much as we can. And so that's where exercise can really play a significant role in all of our lives, especially now. Some people tend to have this mindset around exercise and relating it to their food. And what we want is for people to kind of release that perception of, exercising as punishment for what they ate or to compensate for what they ate. And that can be a hard habit to disassociate from, but that is something that over the course of the program, we can help you to find a better and healthier balance and mindset around both exercise and nutrition. So that kind of wraps up the mindset discussion. And then we can move in to exercise. And so, like Jonah said, we won't be doing any exercise with you folks today, obviously, because we aren't able to see you. And we want to make sure that you are safe. So we do each week, just as the same as all the other weeks and the other categories, we have a different topic of exercise each week. And then we also participate in 30 minutes of exercise as well. And so we have a video that we've developed that has 3 different modifications of the same exercises. And like I said, it amounts to about 30 minutes and it's all body weight exercises. So there's about a 5-minute warm up and then about 20 minutes of actual body weight exercise circuit fashion. So targeting your physical strength and your cardiovascular strength, and then wrapping up with some stretches at the end. It's really great because the 3 different versions, you can choose which one you want to follow along with based on your ability level. So if you're not feeling well, or maybe you're feeling super strong that day, you can pick which person you want to follow along with. And if you do get a chance to look at the video, you'll learn really quick that Jonah and I are in the video. And I apologize that we don't look very excited to be in the video, but we were very nervous. So that video is on our PCN website. So you can just find it by going to reddeerpcn.com, clicking on group programs, and then scrolling down to find the Health Basics program, clicking on that, and then the video is embedded right there. So if you want to look at that video and try it out and see if it's a good option for you, you're more than welcome to do that. I think that right now it's a perfect option for many people, as we can't get out, we can't go into the community exercise facilities or be going to our regular exercise programming. So this is a great one for us to be able to do at home. The only piece of equipment that it requires is a sturdy chair without wheels. I will warn you, do not do it with a chair with wheels. That is unsafe. And that's all you need. And like I said, you can kind of tweak it to your ability levels. So you don't have to do the whole 30 minutes. You can just do the first 10 minutes, whatever works best for you. And that leads me to my next point. One of the things that we recommend highly throughout this 8-week Health Basics program is for people to work towards 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous activity. And so those are Canadian guidelines, and they've studied them. And what they found is that when people are reaching those guidelines, that 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity, they're maxing out on their health benefits. And there's some really, really great health benefits that we can all achieve from getting that 150 minutes. So the key word there is work towards, right? So start with what is reasonable to you. Maybe it's 10 minutes a day, or maybe you can do 10-minute chunks 3 times a day to get, about 30 minutes a day. And if you do that 5 days a week, then you're hitting that target. So you find what works for you and you start to build on it. So we have to get creative now more than ever to find activities that we can do to kind of meet those targets. And that's where that body weight circuit can be a really great addition. The other thing that we often talk about, one of the categories is just reducing our sedentary behavior. So what that means is just our periods of time that we're sitting throughout the day. And that's something that, again, has been studied and shown that for people who sit most of the day, their health risks are very similar to people who smoke cigarettes. So they've coined the term "sitting is the new smoking." I'm sure many people are familiar with that. So again, just something to consider, you know, when you are spending time at home. Is there ways that you can break up your sedentary behavior by getting up during commercials, or even if you really like to read, maybe every 2 or 3 chapters you can get up and walk through the house and stretch for a couple minutes and then sit back down and continue your reading. So one of the kind of skills that we like to share on that topic is the 5-60 rule. And so basically what that means is that for every 60 minutes that you're sitting, get up and move for 5. You can modify that. Maybe every 30 minutes that you sit, get up and move for 5, whatever works best for you. If you spend a lot of time sitting at a computer desk each day, like Jonah and myself do, you can download a timer on your computer to go off every hour to remind you to get up and stretch. One of the things that I've adopted in my life while I'm here at the office is anytime I'm talking on the phone to stand up, because that's something very easy that I can do while I'm talking on the phone. I can stand up and talk at the same time. So yeah, I think I challenge you to just get creative and think about, you know, is there times throughout the day that you are sitting for quite a long frequency? And is there a way for you to break that up? So just kind of consider that. Some of the other challenges for exercise that we talk about is to get outside. And I think that's a great one that we can all do, you know, right now, maybe not specifically today because it's very icy out at the moment. So yeah, with all safety precautions, making sure that you've got your proper boots, walking sticks, whatever you need, but getting outside is a great way to get some exercise, get some fresh air, get out of your house, all those things. So maybe you could, you know, make a plan to get outside every day for, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, whatever works best for you. But definitely, I've heard lots of people say that just getting outside each day makes a huge positive impact on their mental health, which again, we all need as many of those tools right now as possible. So, and then one of the other ones that I wanted to highlight, the topics that we talk about on the exercise is to challenge those barriers. So especially when it comes to exercise, many people that we meet on a day-to-day basis, Jonah and myself, they often say to us, I just don't like exercise. It's not very fun. And, you know, sometimes I would say the same, right? And it's not always fun. But if you find activities that you do enjoy, then it does make it more enticing to go and do, right? So maybe, again, just going back to getting creative, finding some online workshops that you can participate at home to get active, and just looking at, you know, what are my barriers to exercise? Is it pain? Is it the weather? Is it time? And try to break down those barriers, try to find ways to, you know, counteract some of those barriers that you may have. So if it's pain or time, you know, you can really break down your exercise by just doing it in very minimal stints. So maybe it's, you know, 5 minutes at a time, and then sit back and take a rest, and then do 5 minutes more a little bit later. You know, maybe it's taking some time out of your lunch hour to go for a walk, and then allotting some time to make sure that you still get to eat your lunch. Those types of things are all really great topics that come up in this class. So if you do find that you have quite a bit of barriers to exercise, this program would be fantastic, because we would be able to have that conversation and break down some of those barriers to find a way for exercise to work for you, because it's not always a cookie cutter solution, right? We have to find an individualized plan for each and every one of us to make sure that we continue to move our bodies. So I think those are all the things that I wanted to talk about on the topic of exercise. And so what I would like to do is maybe pass it back to Jonah, and then if he has any other things on the topic of exercise that he would like to add in, that would be great. And then also wrap up with the nutrition section. All right.
Thanks, Lindsay. That was a great explanation of the whole piece on exercise. And I'll be honest, out of the 3 pillars, the mindset, nutrition, exercise, the one that's most intimidating to a lot of people, just because many people that attend the Zoom or the in-person, we're all in a different level of fitness. And some people have negative past experience when it comes to exercise. So the good thing about Health Basics is that we're all in this together, in the sense that we'll help support you. And it's not one, like Lindsay said, it's not one cookie cutter version of an exercise. It's finding out what will work best for you, something that you could sustain for for a long period of time, and something that you actually enjoy. Some people go through the pain of exercises, even though they don't enjoy the activity or the exercise. And one of the things that we ask you to do is find something that you actually enjoy. And over the course of the 8 weeks, we challenge people to find activities that they've done in the past that they used to enjoy, and they could try that again. Or sometimes people bring in some new, fun, adventurous activities that other people may be able to try as well. So once we finish the exercise, like Lindsay said, is generally about half an hour. We give people about 10-minute break. We call it a vitality break. This gives them an opportunity to use the washroom, get some water, or just go outside, just get some fresh air, because it gets quite warm after doing the exercise. And after the 10 minutes, we do roll into our nutrition challenge. And for week 1, for this week, our nutrition challenge goes really well with a mindset challenge, because our mindset challenge is be mindful of your habits. And one of the easiest way to be mindful of your nutritional habits is by making sure you make food journaling work for you. Lindsay did mention that Dr. Yoni Freedorf stated that when it comes to specifically weight loss here, journaling your food will definitely help you and lose and maintain that weight loss. But it goes beyond that as well. So if you're somebody that's not really looking towards losing weight, but you do have chronic disease that you want to manage, such as high blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes, writing down your food will give you an insight on what you're doing. And a lot of times people get really nervous about writing down our food just for the fear of judgment, right? So when it comes to Health Basics, it's not about judging you or what you're eating. It's about knowing where you're at to begin with. So when it comes to changing any behavior, we need to know what we're doing to begin with, right? So for the first week, what we ask people to do is journal their food, write down their food, everything they eat, as well as drink. And they could use whatever form of journaling that will work best for them. The 3 things that we talk about, the very first one is the good old pen and paper route. So what we ask people to do is write down what you're eating, write down when you're eating it, and if you can, write down how much. Sometimes we may be eating healthy food, but the portion may not be quite there. And that's a good way to see where we're at when it comes to the big picture. A lot of times we, talk about the what, when, where we eat, but we sometimes forget to ask the why. So over the course of the 8 weeks, we start challenging people. Okay, we know what we're eating, when we're eating it, but we don't know the why. So we ask people, ask yourself, why are you eating these food? Is it boredom? Is it you actually hungry? Or is it because you're lonely? So this will give you an insight on the reasons why you eat. And once we know the reasons, we could really dig at the root of those problems. For example, if you're lonely, no amount of eating will make you less lonely. So what we tell people is, when solving problem, dig at the roots instead of just hacking the leaves. By writing it down, we could definitely see the root cause of the why we're eating. You could come by the PCN office. We have our own PCN food and activity log. If you want to get one, it's just a small little one. But if you have your own notepad or any special journal you want to use, please feel free to do so, right? So that's the easy way to do it, and you can bring your journal anywhere you go. But a lot of us, sometimes I've heard people say, okay, I had this journal, it looks awesome, it looks nice, and I'm motivated to use it, but we forget it at home. So one thing many of us don't forget at home is our phones. A lot of us have smartphones, so you could always go with an electronic app. There's many different apps out there that help you journal what you're eating and the time and the portion. The one that we use in this health basic workshop is MyFitnessPal. The reason being, it's free, and it's what Lindsay and I have used in the past, so we have a little bit of experience with it. The only downside with FitnessPal is that once you register with it, it's going to ask you for a weight goal. And if you set a weight goal to more than 0.5 or 1 pound per weight loss per week, the calorie that it provides you is quite low. So we always recommend only set it to about half a pound weight loss per week, so that it gives you an actual realistic calorie goal for the day. And that's the unfortunate part about MyFitnessPal, is that it is based on numbers, it's based on calories. So if you're the type of person that gets really stressed out, really anxious about seeing the calories and all the details, the macronutrients you're eating per day, this is not the way to food journal. I would actually recommend doing the pen and paper route, just because it's not as fixated on numbers itself. So like I said, if you have a tendency to get fixated on numbers, don't use anything that does calorie counting, right? The good thing about MyFitnessPal too, that it remembers what you ate previously, and so you can easily track it that way. And also it has a barcode scanner. Some people love it, some people hate it. So again, it's what you prefer. Okay. And the third way you could actually track what you're eating is, again, if you have a phone with a camera option, you can just take a picture of everything you eat for that day. The reason I ask people to take a picture is so that they can remember everything they ate that day, because sometimes we have selective memory and we forget those little things that we eat throughout the day. For example, if you're passing by I don't know, a jar of candy, you might take a handful and not realize it. But when you're taking a picture of absolutely everything you're eating, then it gives you an idea on your food and drink consumption for the day. So for some people, that's a lot easier than actually writing it down. But it doesn't matter which way or which style you use, as long as you actually being honest, you do it on a daily basis. And what I like to tell people is, do it as you go. Don't try to, if you decide to do pen and paper, don't try to remember everything you eaten for that day and write it all at the end of the day. Okay, that may work, but it's not as effective if you write it as you go, just because it's fresh in your mind, you know exactly what it is. And the key here is actually reflecting on your eating for that day, but also the trend throughout the week, right? Is there a time of day where you tend to be eating more of a treat type food, or sweets, or any type of junk food compared to other times, right? For example, you may notice that, okay, every time at around 3 o'clock, I tend to have a cup of coffee, or every time around 3 o'clock, I tend to gravitate toward a chocolate bar. So those are the trends that we're looking at, because once we figure out the trends where we can make changes, then what we would recommend is set a goal for yourself, right? If you notice that there's a trend that you eat unhealthy food at 9 o'clock at night, again, going back to the why. Why do you think that is? Okay, it's 9 o'clock at night, I'm bored, there's nothing really to do, or I'm tired. That's a big one too, right? I'm tired, and instead of just go ahead and get ready to go to bed, we just tend to eat, right? So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out what we're eating, why we're eating, and do something about the areas that we want to change. Sometimes it's not even the treats or the unhealthy food. It's sometimes what we're lacking. And a lot of times for some of our participants, one of the things that they lack is, not drinking enough water or not eating enough vegetables. Fruits is usually pretty easy for a lot of people, but vegetable part is lacking. So after doing a 1 week food diary, I noticed that I'm not eating enough vegetables. What I would do as a goal for the next week is, okay, maybe I'll add 1 or 2 more servings of fruit and vegetables over the upcoming week, and continually monitor it as the weeks progress. We may not be able to do or hit every single challenge, every single goals. What we've had people do is really focus on maybe key aspects that they know that will give them the most bang for their buck. For example, if something like nutrition, I would maybe focus on my eating first, and as I feel more comfortable and my confidence increase on my eating, then I could start shifting the priority to maybe exercise or even the mindset, right? So we know that if the mindset is not there, then it's hard to keep this all sustainable. So that's basically the nutrition aspect. So we're going to ask people to, it doesn't matter which way they want a food journal, just make sure you food journal, right? And if you're not used to food journaling, maybe starting up 2 to 3 times a week, it's a good start. It's better than nothing. But eventually what we want to do is we want to journal every day so that we see the big picture. And on week 1, part of this whole health basics is that we do, well, that's usually in person. We do weigh and measure people only if they want to. It's fully voluntary. Some people like to use those objective measurement as a way to help guide them when it comes to healthy changes in their life, but it's not just based on that, right? So don't feel like you have to do it. It's just for the people that are interested in getting those measurements. And once we finish the nutrition, we go to the checkout. Again, the checkout is one of the key pieces here. We want to make sure that we give people the opportunity right then and there to figure out what they're going to do to meet these challenges. And for example, for exercise, work towards exercising most days of the week. I don't want you to just put for your checkout, how I'm going to be that challenge, I'm going to go exercise. No, I want you to be very specific. I want you to open your calendar, look at your phone calendar, and see, okay, when am I actually going to exercise? Is this realistic, right? Vague goals give us vague results. So I want you to be as specific as possible, know exactly when you're going to do it, and that will, what we find is people that follow that train of thought are more successful in the long run. And once people finish their checkout, what we ask them to do is just share one thing that they will be working on this the upcoming week, and then the next time we see them during the check-in, that's something Lindsay and I would maybe ask that participant about whether or not they were able to meet that challenge. So when it comes to health basics, the next program, the workshop, does not start till January 12th. If you're interested in health basics, then what I would recommend you do is call the Primary Care Network, 403-343-9100, and you can self-refer for the Health Basics program, or you could talk to either your physician or any of your healthcare provider, and they could do a referral that way too.